Gavin, go ahead.
This is for Brian. Hey, Brian, how did you kind of get into long snapping? I know you did it back in Darien. And what is it about, that you like?
Yeah. So back in my freshman year of high school, my dad taught me it just because that was something that he did when he played football back in UConn. And so, he just taught me the basics of it. And it was something, just to help the team out. And so, long snapping just kind of became a little bit of a hobby of mine. And, I kind of use it as, a tool to not only just get on the field, but, give myself the best opportunity to help the team. And, I've been lucky enough it's led me to UConn. And, I just like it's such an independent role. You have such a big role, but, a lot of people count on you, but it's not something that's going to be, in the limelight all the time. So, I just like being able to do my job, stay anonymous, and just let everyone else on the team, get all the accolades and put points up on the board. And so, I'm just happy to be a part of the program.
What kind of skill set does it take to be a good one?
It's as much as it is, physical, having good technique and being able to, put the ball into the spot, as consistent at every time as possible. A lot of it is a mental aspect, and you need to have a sharp center mentality, kind of like a sniper or, kind of like a golfer. You're only as good as your next shot and you're only as good as your next snap. And so being able to have confidence and, being able to replicate the same form each and every time is what makes a good long snapper.
Thank you.
Maggie, go ahead.
Yeah, also for Brian, this is your final 2021 season will be your final year. You've gone from Darien to now, and last season, I know you guys didn't have a season, but you were on those watch list and this candidate list for a lot of those awards. What does this upcoming season mean to you, knowing that it's your last time in a UConn uniform?
It's kind of just been really full circle for me. Being a Connecticut kid, coming to UConn games since I was younger, always dreamed of it being this spot. And, sometimes I really have to just take a step back and, appreciate the opportunity I am to even be here and, to have success here. And so there's a lot of guys in the locker room that, are super supportive. And, for really this whole year is just appreciating everything that, college football and UConn football has to offer, whether it be getting my degree, now getting 2 degrees. And, the COVID year, obviously it was disappointing getting it taken away from us, but, it's just been a huge opportunity for me to, really appreciate why UConn is so special and, why I wanted to come back and, finish what we started. And like the others had said earlier, we want to get a ring and we want to do it this year.
When going into last fall, was there ever a decision in your head was there ever a doubt of not coming back for this extra year?
No way. I wanted to finish it on my terms, and I wanted to make this experience as memorable as possible. There's just too many guys in the locker room and too many coaches that have just put too much time in for me, not to be a part of this. And this whole year going into spring ball, it's just been, it's been a grind since day one, and I love it. Knowing that we're going to be able to have a season and we're going to have the right season is going to be perfect. So, I'm super happy that everything's going the way it is.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sean McFarland.
Hey guys, I have questions for both of you, but we'll start with Brian since he's on the hot seat now. You're growing up a Connecticut kid. You said you watched UConn growing up. You're a fan growing up. What are some moments you remember watching? Some players you remember watching when you're kind of growing up and starting to fall in love with UConn?
Definitely. I would definitely say my favorite UConn moment would be, kicking that game-winning field goal versus USF and storming the field. That was pretty much my first real moment of UConn football. And then there's little bits and pieces everywhere. The most recent would be, the Houston game a couple years ago when we upset them when they were 17th in the country. But there's just so many players I could list off. Andre Dixon, Donald Brown, Dan Orlowski, Scott Lutris. A lot of guys who grew up in this area and grew up in the Northeast and just put UConn football on the map. And being able to put on that uniform and kind of just live out my dream and live in those guys' shoes and, carry the torch is incredible.
And do you remember the moment? Obviously, so many kids grow up playing football and they want to play college football. They want to play Division I football. Do you remember the moment or year or time when you realized that you can and you can do it for the team that you grew up watching?
I would definitely say, at least like when back in high school, when I was fortunate to get the offer, I was just with my dad, and my dad, from day one, like I said earlier, he's the one who taught me the skill set, and, being able to get that offer, and, it's kind of been both of our dreams. He's the one who brought me on to UConn. And so that was from that point on, I was like, wow, like this is going to take me a long way. And then, like I had mentioned, coming up the first day of summer class, my freshman year, and working out with the team, I just went from a fan to I'm just one of the guys. And that's just been something that, I really take appreciation for.
Yeah. I asked this to Jay Rose last week. He's in a similar spot to you, a Connecticut guy who's been here for years now. The winning hasn't necessarily been there for you guys in your first few years here. How important would it be for you, again, as someone from Connecticut, as someone who's been here for so many years now, to go out on a winning season, to have that strong season to finish your career?
It would mean everything. That's all we came back for, as much as it is, the camaraderie and being able to be with the guys. We all came here for a purpose, and we came here to win a ring. And, we feel like we're putting ourselves in the best position. This year we have the guys that, we really feel like we can do this. And, we have the schedule that we don't see anyone on the schedule that, we don't think we're going to go out and compete and get a W. And so it would just mean the world to be able to win a bowl game for UConn, get a ring, and put UConn football back on the map.
Awesome. Thanks, man. And for you, Jeremy, just what have you seen out of the defensive back so far through a few weeks of spring ball, and obviously last fall? Just kind of what are you seeing out of that position group, and how are you guys coming along?
I've definitely seen a ton of growth since between the last season that we played till now. A lot of that is kudos to Coach Burke. He definitely knows exactly what he's doing with us. He's super knowledgeable about the position, and he communicates with us really effectively. The older people, the older guys in our group, I think that we've also done a really good job kind of stepping up more up into those leadership roles and helping the younger defensive backs along too. So right now we're all just super close with each other. Everybody's way better in terms of knowing their assignments. Everybody's gotten a lot bigger, stronger, and faster in this year that we've had off, and more technically sound. And one guy that's made a ton of improvements since last season is Jalen Farrow. He's come a super long way, and he's really having a good spring so far.
I think Ryan Vandermark also said Jalen Farrell made good improvements. What specifically has he done?
You can just tell that he's a lot more confident out there. He's always known what he's doing, but you can just see it in him. Like, he's just playing way faster, just flying all over the field, making splash plays. Like I just mentioned before, like in terms of leadership, he's been a lot more vocal, and just being more of a leader. You can tell it's kind of forcing him to play better. Like, when you put yourself in that kind of position, it forces you to just elevate your game. So I've definitely seen that from him.
Yeah, we've heard from the defensive linemen, just heard from other guys that have watched this defense, said that the D line looks really strong, that front seven looks really strong. How are you feeling this defense kind of come together as one? Have you seen that yet, as kind of everything's clicking as one unit and not so much just individual position groups?
Yeah, we've definitely come a long way since my freshman year. This is the closest that the defense has ever been with each other. We all spend so much time with each other now. It's actually it's ridiculous. Like, we're not supposed to, but we'll hang around each other in the locker room like a little bit more. You'll see D linemen going over to the DB area, DBs going over to the D line area. We are there's a ton of more communication on the field. So like when things are happening, dudes aren't just silent. We're actually calling stuff out, letting each other know what's coming before, during, and after the snap. And I just feel the closest I've ever been to all of our defensive players now.
Thanks, man.
Gavin?
Hey, Brian, where do you stand as far as school? Did you finish your undergraduate work last semester? You're in the master's program. Where do you stand for school-wise?
Yep. So when the season got canceled, that's when I realized I was like, okay, I'm going to try and graduate. So I graduated with my undergrad in December. And so now I'm in the first semester of my master's degree in sport management.
And I know you've been heavily involved in community service, with the virus and everything. How has that changed? Are you still doing some community service work? How's that look now for you?
Yep. So I'm a part of the UConn's student athlete advisory committee. And so every NCAA school has one. And so I'm a representative for the football team. And so with COVID, it's been kind of limited with what we can do, but we do a lot of virtual readings to a couple elementary schools in Wyndham and Willimantic. We do a bunch of community service workshops with students from East Hartford Middle School with our Goal Line program. And, as much as it's been limited, as a team and as a student athlete community here at UConn, we're doing a lot to help out a lot of people. And so, I'm trying to do my part and make myself available and just, be able to be out in the community.
And why is that important to you to be involved with the community service?
Because Connecticut is my community. There's so many people that, have supported me along my way, and, faith, family, and friends are the three most important things that, keep me grounded in my life. And so, every opportunity I get to give back and show love for the people, who make Connecticut home for me is just so special.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Jeremy or Brian?
Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead, Sean. Oh, is that?
Yeah. Hey, this is a question for both you guys. Coach Edsel tweets a lot about the team competition on social media. Can you guys talk a little about that? What goes into it? Jeremy, I know you're currently in first. Just talk a little about that process. Competitive battle. I see you guys shaking your heads. Just talk a little about that.
Yeah, so this is something that we've been doing. I think this is our second year doing it. So basically the way it works is that every member of the leadership council is the captain of their own team. So back in the fall, we had we got the list of all the players on the team. We had a whole draft, just picking people onto our teams. So you can earn and lose points for like a bunch of different reasons. You can earn points for making your weight range every week, for winning the competitions that we have every Friday, getting academic shout outs, so stuff like that. And then you can lose points for any kind of conduct violation, being late to stuff, missing things completely. So yeah, obviously, my team is in first right now. Shout out to all of them. But the competition, it's been great. Like it's a great way for all of us to go out and compete against each other, and just also a great way to just another way to make sure that everybody stays on top of their stuff, and making sure that everybody holds each other accountable. I know, like my team, we have a group chat every week. We're talking, making sure that everybody's on their P's and Q's, making sure that people are in their weight range, that they're going to class, getting any kind of academic help that they need. So it's nice for the competitive aspect, but also for the in the sense that it does bring us closer together, because I find myself with COVID and all that's going on, I don't really get to see everybody as much, but because of the competition, I find myself being able to like communicate more with people that I usually like haven't been able to, since I haven't been able to see everybody every day, and just making sure that I'm staying on top of everybody, making sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to.
Going off of what Jeremy was saying, as much as the team competition is, pitting the entire team into smaller groups and going against one another, it's just another way for, everyone on a team to know your brother. That's a huge thing. We're putting a lot of emphasis into this spring ball and this semester and the season. With COVID, we weren't able to, really get to, know some of the younger guys better. And, as we're bringing in new freshmen for the semester, the competition allows us to, get different position groups, different backgrounds onto our teams. And so it's just been a really good opportunity to get to know one another. But it's like Jeremy had mentioned, it's a really good way to keep everyone accountable. Each and every day we get text messages saying, who's doing a good job in the classroom. If someone's late to something, you lose points and you get, put onto this, board in a text message. And so it's a really good opportunity for, the older guys and the leadership guys to, take an opportunity to take the younger guys in and say, hey, this is the way. And if you do it, you'll be successful.
And then Jeremy, question for you. You seem to be one of the guys here that has the most experience at UConn at the cornerback position. Just your development over the years. I think last spring you were a little banged up, if I recall right. Now fully healthy. How's that helped your game? And talk a little about your development over the years.
Yeah, so it's been a long few years. So yeah, like you said, last spring I was a little bit banged up. I ended up injuring my quad halfway through, so I didn't get to finish spring ball. So that's been one of my goals, or that was my goal for this spring was to do even more in the athletic training room to make sure that my body stays as healthy as it can be, so I don't so I'm able to finish fully. But in terms of my development, right now is the most comfortable that I've ever been, to put it to say the least at this position. I've done a lot. I've tried to do a lot more in terms of my leadership role and stepping up. Like I mentioned before about Jaylon, the same thing applies to me. Putting myself in more of a leadership role has helped me elevate my game, because you can't be super vocal and then go out on the field and lay an egg. So it forces you to kind of back up like all the stuff that you've been preaching to the team. I do my best to set a good example for the other DBs each and every day, get everybody pumped up, not just the DBs but the rest of the defense too, so that we're all part of the same unit. We all have the same job to do: go out and stop the offense as best we can. So I feel like I've been like way more comfortable with that since coming in freshman year. Right now I'm just really excited about the defense as a whole and jacked up for the things that we're going to do this fall.
Thank you.
Sean, did you have another one?
Yeah, just real quick for Jeremy. You mentioned that kind of the whole defense has been hanging out more than they ever have since you've been here in terms of all the why do you think that is? What has contributed to you guys being closer as a whole this year as opposed to years past?
So obviously nobody likes to lose, especially the amount that we have over the last few years. So our goal is just win and keep winning, and to go to a bowl game, win a bowl game. It's been too long since we've consistently won games, so everybody just has that collective mindset that something needs to change, right? We need to change the culture, change the mentality, in order to move forward and accomplish the goals that we have. So I really feel that right now everybody's really on the same page. Everybody knows what needs to get done. Coach Etchel's mentioned it before that he's felt less now that the coaches have to get involved with everything the players doing. The team is becoming more player run, which is really good. That's how it needs to be. So just because of the collective goal that we have and the fact that none of us here want to keep on doing what we've been doing for the last few years. Like everything needs to change right now, and everybody understands that. So because of that, we've all just grown so much closer over the years.
Anybody else have any questions for these guys? All right, it's really good that Brian got credit for being such a good student. But Jeremy, who do you think has the tougher major, you or Brian?
I gotta say me. My major's pretty tough.
You're still mechanical engineering, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Brian would be the first to admit that. All right, thanks guys. You're of course welcome to stay, but you don't have to. We'll get Eddie on here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, Eddie is with us. Eddie, why don't you just get us started with some brief opening remarks about how the spring ball's gone so far. We're getting very well into it. We got some new guys on your special team, so just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, so far at this point, we're going to practice 11 here tomorrow. I mean, spring's going pretty good right now. I like where we're at. Obviously, the guys took advantage of the time this fall here to get bigger and stronger. We're definitely, you hear all the things Coach Spanos was saying about the defense and Coach Joffrey saying about the offense, but we're definitely moving better. We're stronger. The guys a little bit more mature. We still technically have a young football team, but we got a lot of guys who've been here for a while that understand what the expectations are, and we're seeing it. We're a lot more competitive than we've ever been here this spring. Just going through the things that we do. I like where we're at. Obviously we've got a bunch of new young guys that are going to get in the mix, whether they're here last year and they get a chance to play as freshmen, or the new guys we got in here this fall or this spring, or guys that are really going to be able to factor in for us here this fall. So happy where we're at. Obviously I'm happy with where kicker position's at right now. We got 3 guys that are doing a really good job this spring. All 3 of those guys are doing really well. Even Joe being the youngest guy coming in here this spring, he's really had a good spring so far, right? And then punter position right now with Hayden coming in from Australia, getting caught up on some things with him, but he's starting to really put it together. And I'm happy where we're at. You got some good options here at returner position coming back. We really haven't had a ton of depth at that position the last few years since I've been here, but I think we've got a bunch of guys right now at the back end that can do some things with the football and create some big plays. So I'm happy where we're at right now. We're going to keep grinding here through the next 5 practices, but we're definitely taking steps from where we were before.
All right, thanks. And we're going to questions. Just put your hands up if you have a question. Gavin, go ahead.
Coach, I was looking at your bio. You were quarterback at the University of New Haven. How does a quarterback and become a special teams coordinator? How did that journey go?
A long time ago. It started, I graduated from New Haven, and I got my first job working at Hofstra in 2003. Joe Gardy was head coach, legendary guy, coached for the Jets for a long time, but he was a special teams guy, there at Hofstra, and he was really into it. And so I started to get a little niche for it there, working with the offense, helping out in special teams. Ran a unit my second year when I was at the junior college level out in Kansas. But then when I got to Rutgers, I played for Darren Rizzi at New Haven. He was the head coach. He's now the special teams coordinator at the Saints, was at Miami Dolphins for a long time, but he was at Rutgers at the time as special teams coordinator. And he kind of brought me in there with him, and I worked with him with special teams for 3 years there, and that's where it started. So, I would say Darren's really the guy that kind of molded me and took me in that direction. Then we went to Rhode Island. He became the head coach at Rhode Island. I went with him there for a year, and then he moved on to the NFL. But he was really the guy who got me into it. So since really 2005, I've been strictly working with special teams pretty much my whole career.
And what do you like about it?
Everything. The thing that I think special about it is I'm the only coach besides the head coach who gets to coach every player on the team. I get special team meetings are usually like team meetings. I like that part of it. I like, taking that third phase and making that third phase of the game an impact in the football game. I think it's something that, in recent years, it's starting to get more notice, but I think that's still an undervalued part of the game. That can really, those 25 to 30 snaps a game can have huge impacts in the course of a football game. Particularly in programs like where we are right now, where we're building this thing, to take a step, we need to play great special teams. And that might help us beat some teams that maybe we're not more talented than right now. But, I love the aspect of you got one shot, one play, right, to make something happen, right? And you gotta go get it done. There's no excuses.
And just one more, what makes Brian a good long snapper, and what kind of skills do you need to be a good long snapper?
I think the thing that makes Brian really good at what he does is his work ethic. He works at it. He works at it every day, and he puts the time. There are different skills being a long snapper than a kicker or punter, being a specialist than there are, being a linebacker or being a wide receiver, but they're all the same. You got to work at what you do. And I think what makes Brian really good at it is he works at it. He's relentless. He's out there every day. He knows what drills to work on to get better. His hand speed, his flexibility, all that stuff comes into play. And I think that to be a good long snapper, one, you got to be able to bend over and you got to have some good flexibility. He's got really good flexibility. He can get his arms through, but I think without a doubt, it's his work ethic and the way he approaches every single day that kind of separates him from a lot of other guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Maggie, go ahead.
On the same topic of Brian, you've seen him since 2018 from your first season here. How has he grown in that almost now 4-year period? And what did he do during this 2020 long off season that really helped the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with Brian, I think, is just he's grown up, and when I first got here, he was seemed like he was a puppy, and just from a maturity standpoint and, not bad stuff, but just he's a man now, and he knows, what it takes to be successful, to do his job at a high level, and he does it every single day, and he goes about his business the right way. And that's something you always deal with. Maybe some younger guys coming in, they're talented, but they're not really sure how to handle the day-to-day of being a college athlete. Brian knows how to do that, and he knows how to do that at a high level, and he mentors the other young guys in our room, which is critically important, I think, especially for our positions. So, I think that's the biggest change I've seen in Brian throughout the past 3 years, is really just where he's gone from a mental, toughness standpoint from his first year to where he is now. I'm extremely happy about where he's at.
And during what would have been the 2020 season, instead of not playing and not practicing and just conditioning, where did you see him impact the team most?
Yeah, I think just his attitude and his positivity. And he's one of those guys who's always positive, whether it's in the weight room, at practice. He always brings the juice. A little bit goofy at times, but I think the guys respect that. And I think, it was a tough year. There's no question it was a tough year for everybody. But just having a guy like that who's got the positive energy all the time, I think is critical for makeup of a football team, and he's definitely got it.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
Sean McFarland.
Hey Eddie, just wondering what you've seen out of Joe McFadden so far. He came pretty highly regarded out of Texas, and has he kind of lived up to the high billing he came with the first few weeks of spring ball?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, and Joe's very talented. He's got, I think there's a lot of, you hear me say this a lot, but there's a lot of talented kickers that come out of the high school level. But what separates those guys, from being able to play right away or being able to step into the role, right, and have success is really their mental makeup, and can they handle that part of it. And Joe's got the right personality. He's got the right makeup for it. And I think that's going to be critically important as we finish up next week. We're going to training camp, and these guys are competing for the job. Really for all three of these guys, it's just where they are mentally. I think we're in a good spot with all three of those guys, but I think Joe's got it. He's got a great personality. He's doesn't get rattled much. I tell this guy, you're going to miss some kicks in practice. That's all part of it. He doesn't let it affect him. He bounces back, and he knows what he needs to work on. He knows, he misses a kick, and you talk to him about it. He knows exactly what he did. And I think that those are all important for kickers, particularly young guys, as they come in and they're going to be competing for a job, to have that mental makeup. And he's got the right mentality. He's definitely got the ability. And again, he's, like I said, he comes with a lot of ratings and all that, but he also played at high school where he's kicked in some big games. So it's not going to be new to him if he's put in that situation during the season. He's kicked in front of, 20,000 people in the Texas State Championship game. So he knows what that's about. I think there's a lot of positives there. Still a young kid. He's got to keep working. He's got to keep grinding. But he's got great work ethic, and he's got a great mental makeup, which goes along with his skill. I think sets him up to have a lot of success here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else have anything for Eddie?
Hey, Pat.
Hey.
Yep.
Hey, in return game, what are you guys looking at in that regard, both from punt and kickoff standpoint? I'm guessing this is a time to experiment with what you have there.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of guys right now we're looking at. Like I said, I think this is the from a depth standpoint, we've got more guys at that skill position part of it than I think we've had here since I've been here. Guys who can do things with the ball in hand, not just go back and catch the ball and whatnot. So, look at you got guys like Cam Ross, Keenan Marion, Brian Bruton. It's got a lot of talent. He got a lot of success in high school back there. Doing what he did. Devontae Houston's electric. Josh Tracy's really starting to flash out here on the field. So, what I'm looking for, right, is really guys who have that skill to create the big hits. And I think we have plenty of those guys back there. And then it's going to take everyone out. The other 10 guys in front of those guys catching the ball need to be able to do their job effectively so that we can, have those opportunities for those guys to make the plays that I think we can make now with the guys we have. I'm really happy with the guys we have back there. And I think it's going to be good competition here going through training camp to find, who the guy's going to be. But we have options, and we're in a good situation right now. We just got to keep building these guys, get them reps and get them, mentally ready to go.
You rattle off a pretty long list there of some of the young guys that bring some speed. Does that speak to the improvement of the overall team speed that you've seen, not just on special teams, but that you're seeing on the practice field?
Absolutely. I think that's, that's how you build your program, right? We went out and we identified over the last couple of years that the type of players we needed to get in here to be successful. We went out and we got them, and we have players now that can do those things that we need them to do with the ball in their hand, whether it's on offense or special teams or, guys on defense in the secondary. But we have guys, that have that talent now that can do some things, with the football in their hand. And that's exciting to me, because it allows us to be able to get a little more creative in what things we're going to do in the return game and try to set some more things up. But, we're definitely at a better place than we've been. And just from a depth standpoint of having, multiple guys who can do things with the football that can be electric and help us. So, like I said, I'm excited about all these guys. You throw Haran in there too, Chikai Gill. We got a bunch of guys back there that can make plays for us in the return game. We just got to figure out who the right guys are going to be. Let the cream kind of rise here and who the best guys are and figure it out. But we got plenty of options.
And a final question from my side. Luke obviously left the program at the punter position. So having to replace the team captain as well as a guy that can really kick the ball. What's the current situation there? Is there a competition there?
At the punter spot?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's competition everywhere. Hayden came in from Australia, right? And I know he's an older guy, but there are some adjustments he got to make. They don't have long snappers in Australia; they have punters. So getting him caught up on catching the snaps and being comfortable with people rushing them and all that stuff is all the stuff you work with. You got to deal with when you go out and get an Australian guy. It's no different than they went through here when Luke was a freshman. So, we're building him up right now. Blake Otto was having a decent spring here before he got dinged up. Joe McFadden can punt. So we're going to have some options back there too. And competition will go as it goes, like every other position. We chart everything we do and the kids got a running tally of where they are and everything they do. So, we'll kind of see where it plays out as we go into training camp. But, Hayden's working really hard right now, getting caught up, and he's gotten a lot better here the first 3 weeks, getting more comfortable with guys rushing, doing all that. But, we'll continue to grow there and get in the training camp where we're going to figure out who the best guy is going to be, and that's what we'll roll with.
Just speaking of Hayden, what is it about Australian former rugby players that make them outstanding punters, it seems, and it seems more and more colleges are looking to that area of the globe to fill that need. Yeah,
they got some people out there that do a decent job training these guys when they get into it. But just talking to Hayden about this too is how it started when they grow up, kicking balls down there. That's really soccer, rugby, whatever it is. That it's like us playing baseball in America or football in America. At a young age, they grow up just everyone knows how to kick a ball. He said so. That's really, really kind of what they do down there, from a young age. So it's just something that kind of comes natural to them. And, these guys can do a bunch of different things with their different type of kicks and all that just because they've been doing it their whole life. So, that's really what I think the thing is that those guys they grow up doing it, and it's something that they have a lot of experience doing, and, it just carries over, once they get trained in how to do it in the football field. So.
Thank you.
Gavin, did you have another one?
No, I'm all set. Thanks, Pat.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? All right. Well, thank you very much. Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Pat.